Scalpel. Thank you. Hope I get this right. I haven't slept in days. Oh no! Oh no!
I heard you can throw the football really well, Commish.
I can throw the football just as well as I like my rubs. Watch this. What? Objection, Your Honor. He's badgering the witness.
Sustained.
All right, so just finish off this next line of billion lines of code, and I'll have those guys betting all their money. There's no way they're gonna win at fantasy anymore, all this, betting. Anyways, I'm gonna call my bro. I gotta see what's happening. Hello? Hey bro, what's poppin'? Dak still making you wet dream? Baby, it's all good, bro. Oh, I got mustard on my favorite shirt. You know what, bro? I don't even know who to set up all this week in my lineup. Well, if you go this linebacker from Washington, they're paying a run-first offense, so that linebacker is guaranteed to get a bunch of volume, and that's how you will win this one. You the best, man. How the hell do you know all this? You see any women around, bro? Good point, my brother. Good point. You know what? Thanks for all you did for this. There's no way I could ever win without you. I know this. Hey everyone, guess who's back? It's Commish back here with another draft preview. This time I got another new owner coming in from Tier 2, Shep and Banjo Blitz. Otherwise known as Killer Sheep from Tier 2, now takes over a Tier 1 team and taking over the team that won the championship last year. The champion decided to leave our league. And I can see why he decided to leave, because he left the team a bit in shambles. Other than the A+ keeper quality that you do have, you're not in an ideal draft pick situation. And we'll talk a little bit into your preview about maybe some opportunities that have slipped by you and could cost you a trip back down to Tier 2, potentially. Maybe not. I might be crazy, but I'll just share my screen and we'll get right into it, Shep. Right, Banjo Blitz. Here we go. So first off, I will say I am excited to have you in the league, Shep. You definitely are a very active owner. Respond quite quickly to any request I may have. And yeah, it sounds like you might even be bringing us some new owners to the league. So all I could say is when you're an owner like that, that helps our league, right? We had a co for many years that didn't even bring anyone into the league except one guy that made a trade near the deadline and then quit. So it was a very odd situation, and it's just nice to have owners that are committed to the league and bringing good owners into the league, not ones that are going to quit after making a trade at the deadline. All right, let's just get into it. So first off, the keeper quality, A+, right? So if you've won the championship, which you didn't, the other team did, but Obviously, you'd think they'd have some good keepers. You got the triple-headed monster, Malik Neighbors, CD Lamb, Devontae Smith at wide receiver, all on the NFC East, all legacy teams. And all legacy teams are going to get primetime games, right? So those guys are going to have big games on those primetime games. They want to show out under the lights. And my opinion is those three guys will still continue to do that. Malik Neighbors is definitely a baller. Everybody said Marvin Harrison last year. No, it was Neighbors you wanted. CD Lamb does have some competition, I guess you could say, in the wide receiver room. You might want to call it collaboration with George Pickens now, but I don't think it's really going to hurt CD Lamb's fantasy value. If anything, I think it's just going to increase Dak's fantasy value because now he has an actual WR2 to throw to. Devontae Smith is a WR2, but almost puts up WR1 numbers. So obviously, the triple-headed monster at wide receiver is great. The quarterback, second year, Jaden Daniels. You have a quarterback here that could be your quarterback for the next 10 to 15, maybe 20 years. Dual threat quarterback as well. So Jaden Daniels is a baller and was also part of the reason why this team won the championship last year. I also traded Kyron Williams to this team to help win the championship for that team, and it did help. Kyron Williams, I still think, is a baller. There's a lot of fantasy websites out there saying to fade Kyron Williams. When I see stuff like that happening, I'm buying just because of just the way it works, right? They say to fade certain teams during the week when the season starts, and all of a sudden that team balls out. So, yeah, I don't trust anything out there, right? I just go with my own opinion. I've seen Kyron Williams play live when he used to run the rock for Notre Dame, and guy's a baller. So I think you got a great running back there. Where things get interesting, and we'll get into your draft pick scenario in a bit, but you do have potential other guys you could keep. Maybe this is where the missed opportunity was. You had a lot of excess that could have been traded to try to get some draft picks back, and we'll get into that when we get into your draft pick scenario here. But I see guys like Ramondre Stevenson, Cooper Kupp, Tucker Kraft, Mark Andrews, a slew of people on the defensive side of the ball. You're keeping Logan Wilson, but I see Jesse Bates, Bobby Okereke. There's other guys too that are a little bit lesser on the IDP hole, but guys that definitely could have been maybe offered out. There's even Nick Chubb there I noticed on the roster. So lots of excess talent where, I haven't seen you do much on terms of trade activity, if any, since you've been over. But you might have want to been doing that because let's look at the draft pick scenario. You're in big trouble. You don't pick until the 100th pick of the draft. Pick 100. You might as well just have a late coffee or whatever when the draft starts because you won't be drafting for at least an hour or maybe 45 minutes, I would say. But unless those first four rounds go pretty quick, my timing's probably off. I'm obviously probably being a bit dramatic, but yeah, picking 100th pick is not ideal, right? And I don't think you could have got any of these rounds 1 to 4 or 6 back unless you were trading someone like CD or Neighbors or Daniels. And in all honesty, if this was my team, I would have traded one of those guys away because I would have been fine getting the picks back and keeping somebody like Kopp or Kraft or Andrews as my fifth keeper, right? You don't need all that A plus keeper quality. And the problem with your scenario now this deep in the offseason is I don't know if there's many teams that need to add a keeper now, right? So you wouldn't even be able to trade a guy like CD at this point. I don't think. I mean, maybe you could. Neighbors, you might be able to just because he's entering year two, but I definitely would have traded one of my stars away to try to get picks back. But it's not my team, right? And I'm not going to tell you what to do. But you have put yourself in a position where I think you got to nail these picks because it is a bit of a survival year, even though you have probably the best keepers right there with Luke and Too Good for a Name. I just think that. Yeah, picking at 100 and then not even having a round six and having to wait another 40 picks to pick up someone else. That's just not ideal. Looking at rounds 11 to 20, you do have the 10 and picks here in the 10 rounds, right? But the extra picks happen in round 18. You also don't have a round 12, so another early pick you don't have. I don't know what your draft strategy is going to be. Maybe you just pick a bunch of low budget IDPs near the end of the draft, and then your defense just kind of sucks. And hopefully you just have enough on offense. I mean, the keepers that you do have could win you a few games, right? And the other benefit you have is you're in the weakest division in the LOC. The American division is atrocious. Um, this team got moved to the American division because you're American, and then of course the prior left that team in shambles as well. But of course that team did move too. So yeah. Anyways, the American division I think is just the weaker division, and that does help you because those guys that you have like neighbor CD and maybe they have a 50-point night or whatever the case may be would probably be enough to beat some of your divisional opponents, right? So that's going to be the bright side for you. And I think if you survive, if you find a way to survive this year, you could be a scary team moving forward into next year with that type of keeper quality. There's no doubt about that. And a full complement to picks. You don't want this full complement to picks though in the last nine rounds. That's for sure. You can see that you have the extra 5 picks, so 14 picks in the last 9 rounds here, doubling up in rounds 24, 25, 26, 27, and 28. And yeah, that's a lot of picks. That's almost half your picks because we picked 29 picks. That's 14 picks in the last nine. So almost half your picks. Not an ideal situation, obviously, and you'll see why. Because when we look at your likely first pick here, you're picking 100th, right? So you're going to be picking the best available. Looking at the sleeper rankings, the best available, I kind of broke it down. Best running back, Rashad White, right? He's probably not going to put up too many points this year. Diami Brown, wide receiver. He might not put up many points. You could be looking at a guy like Dalton Schultz, though, at tight end one for Houston right now. He could be available at pick 100. So if you're looking for value on offense at pick 100, you might want to look at the tight end hole. You could probably score a good tight end one still. And tight ends are a premium in this league, just like running backs. That's what scares me also about your team. Running backs are a premium. Rashad White's going to be available. I mean, yeah, I mean, an injury, he might be relevant, right? But it's not going to be much available at running back or wide receiver. We already talked about in the chat how the wide receiver pool is very thin this year. It gets thinner every day, it seems. So, yeah, there's a lot to talk about there for you at pick 100. And the storylines for you, well, you saw it already a bit in the beginning. I do think it is a bit of a survival year for you this year, Shep. Just because of the draft pick scenario, the keepers are unbelievable, right? And you're just like too good for a name where you got great keepers, but the draft pick scenario isn't ideal. So both of you guys will have to rely on just getting the right matchups against your division opponents to squeeze out a few wins. That's the question. Will the keeper quality be enough for you? All I can say is that if one of those stars gets hurt, so let's say neighbors or CD went down, I think you're done, right? So that's why I thought, with a team like that, you could have traded one of those stars away to get some of those draft capital back and still have an amazing team because you would still have neighbors, you'd still have maybe CD, you'd still have Jaden Daniels. I think it'll be hard to do now, and that's why I say the last storyline for you is was that maybe a missed opportunity, right? I don't know what the trade talks have been like for you this year, if any. But I would have been on the horn looking at some of these guys that need an additional keeper that have a lot of picks and been try to get some of my draft capital back. But who am I to say? I'm a guy that finished 19th last year, dropped and had to move up because I was tier two champion, and you were right there with me in tier two. And I just want to say thank you again, Shep, for so many things that you've brought so far to this league. I really do enjoy having you here. You're a great communicator. Whenever I have a request or anything for you, you're right on it. So you're the perfect LOC member, and I just want to wish you the best of luck this year, and hope you do find a way to survive.